So there is no doubt about it that the Acolyte series is pretty much on par, if not worse, than The Last Jedi as far as backlash levels go, as far as what was done in the canon, to the characters, to the overall lore of the franchise created by George Lucas well over 40 plus years ago. And ever since this thing got cancelled just days ago, when it was finally finalized by Bob Iger, by the Disney Board of Directors, and everything else in between, the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm, there's been a lot of back and forth happening between Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, we all know it, they know it, they just won't admit it, that the Acolyte is indeed a epic disaster, alright? Now, when you look at the Acolyte ratings via the Nielsen ratings reports, it is by far the worst thing that we have seen in history under Disney Star Wars wing, under Lucasfilm via the Walt Disney Company, and it's not a big shocker at all when you have somebody like Leslye Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, and yes, it needs to be said again, running the show and directing this thing and really having those like Amandla Stenberg attached to the series. Now, focusing on Kathleen Kennedy, there's a lot of outrage happening behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm, and how much of a problem she really has with the Acolyte cancellation, and how this is indeed creating a very big divide between both Iger and Kennedy, something that we never expected to actually see in the past couple of years, and here we are now in 2024. So, interestingly enough, with the Acolyte cancelled situation already creating a massive grudge between both Iger and Kennedy, one major development going on right now has more to do with Kathleen Kennedy and her ongoing reaction behind the scenes after the Acolyte recently was axed by Bob Iger due to the poor ratings via the Nielsen reports. Now, one crucial update to this scenario now involves how Kathleen Kennedy is already handing out ultimatums to the Disney Board of Directors in a desperate move to hopefully make Disney cave to her demands, where she is now reportedly pausing already, of course, 3 Star Wars projects via Kathleen Kennedy, and how she is bringing a deep pause to the upcoming Rey Skywalker Star Wars movie, for starters, midway through pre-production, and fully intends to delay the film as a response to the Acolyte cancellation. Now, Kathleen Kennedy is already giving the Disney heads a warning that she is willing to halt production on not just the Rey Skywalker movie, but also the upcoming Jedi Prime Star Wars film set 25,000 years before The Phantom Menace, as well as the upcoming Dave Filoni Star Wars film. Now, this ultimatum may or may not have a deep impact on Bob Iger, or may have no strength toward the Disney heads to force them to negotiate to reinstate Acolyte Season 2. However, millions of dollars, get this, have already been invested and spent on the Rey Star Wars film, and halting production would throw Disney into chaos. Now, this is best described as Kathleen Kennedy's card to play, that she is now playing to use as an ultimatum, seemingly as a form of revenge against Bob Iger, making that call to shelve the Acolyte. Now, there were already multiple heated arguments that took place between Kennedy and Bob Iger, where she essentially blamed Bob Iger for actually falling into the quote-unquote false narrative from the loud, toxic side of the Star Wars fanbase, labeling Disney as incompetent for falling for a false narrative. Now, this recent outrage that sparked between Kennedy and Bob Iger actually caused more board members calling for Kathleen Kennedy to not seek a contract renewal in her contract come this October, and to not stay until the fall of 2027. Now, in addition to all of this, Kathleen Kennedy also had a falling out with Bob Iger, since she was supposed to receive a pay raise of roughly, get this, $10 more million a year on top of her current salary if she renews her contract. However, that pay raise was called off by Bob Iger after both the recent drama took place and his cost containment plan, also known as cost-cutting measures, took place and impacted all divisions of the Walt Disney Company. Now, guys, let me say one thing about this. Now, the fact that we have this fiasco going on between Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, Disney, Lucasfilm, Is it really that much of a big shocker? Not so much. I mean, if you take a piece of dialogue from The Dark Knight, from the Joker, when the chips are down, they will eat each other. This is very much like what's happening between Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger. They all eventually eat their own when things go against their overall way, their overall plan. And that is not a big deal. That is not a big shocker at Lucasfilm. This was always to be expected. If Kathleen Kennedy doesn't get things done her way, whether it's from the fans, whether it's from the studio heads over at Disney, doesn't matter if she supports them, she will eventually go against them and turn on them, and that's exactly what we are witnessing here. The fact that she's using the Rey Skywalker film and other movies out there as an ultimatum and halting production on those projects as a way to get things done her way is very revealing about how desperate Kathleen Kennedy really is getting right now. And look, I think that we're not going to be able to see this Rey movie to begin with. If anything, it will be delayed on a significant scale. I don't believe it's coming out in 2026. Don't even bet on it at this point, because they don't even plan to begin filming this thing anymore in 2024. The overall principal photography phase of the Rey movie have now already been delayed until 2025. And that really is kind of like a 50-50 now, that this could very well be pushed until 2027. So, moving onwards, to conclude here, with the Rey movie production now at a halt in pre-production due to Kathleen Kennedy using that as an ultimatum or leverage, if you will, to get Disney to negotiate and reinstate Season 2 of The Acolyte, this is only creating a more serious divide between Kennedy and Iger, and more than 50% of the board of directors over at Disney are now asking for her to step aside in October. Kennedy, however, is doing everything in her power, everything in her grasp, to renew her contract and stay until the end of 2027 to fulfill 3 blockbuster Star Wars films at the box office, to leave on a successful note. So, look, that's what she wants to do. She wants to have 3 movies that are basically a reset, that have nothing to do with the sequel trilogy movies that got so much criticism. She wants 3 movies that are not just successful at the box office, but movies that have great fan reception. Well, good luck on that, because so far you're off to a terrible start with the Rey Skywalker film, and when you're looking at the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, that really is going to be another 50-50 shot. Look at how the Mandalorian Season 3 ended, back in 2023. It wasn't so hot, right? A lot of fans really did not like how Season 3 turned out. So overall, there's a lot of drama happening between Kennedy, no doubt about it. There's a lot of drama also happening between the board of directors and Kathleen Kennedy. Not a big shocker there as well. And it's going to be interesting to see, to say the least, what happens in October. We basically only have like a little over a month and a half when Kathleen Kennedy's contract comes to an official close. So overall, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about this ongoing situation below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.